This is the May 9th Norton Planning Board meeting. We are here live at the Norton Media Center at 184 West Main Street, and you can also join via Zoom via the link that is provided on the agenda. And you can also view us live on Norton Cable Access, Channel 15. Let's see, we have Planning Board Business and Policies. I don't believe we have any to discuss. We have no bills and warrants. We have some bills, Brian? We have two bills. Two bills. And we do not have any minutes to approve this evening. First item on the agenda is A&R endorsement 19560, 135 Bay Road. Applicant is Lawrence Silver, East Coast Site Development.
George Polio, owner of East Coast Site Development. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here tonight to ask the board's permission to subdivide or divide 135 Bay Road from the remainder of the land that is owned by that home.
And Maria, you said you met with the zoning enforcement officer and you both reviewed it and you have no issues with this A&R, correct?
Correct, everything, they have appropriate frontage, lot 38 meets all of our zoning requirements, and parcel 30B is stated as being non-buildable and is also a retreat lot, and it meets criteria for both of those. One of the items that Laura brought up, though, that might be good for the applicant to know, and this is not an A&R requirement, it's just for your information. You do not, is lot 30B going to remain unbuildable in perpetuity?
No, it is not.
Okay, because it's the way that the plan is currently drawn, you do not meet the shape factor criteria to be able to build on it. So you might have to keep tweaking it, or you might have run into some issues with wetlands. So there's also Bay Road is a scenic road, as Laura pointed out in one of her emails. And you will need probably to come back in front of the planning board if you plan to do any construction, because if you touch a historic wall or a scenic tree, you need a special permit for that. It's just so you are aware of
Sure.
that in the future.
I also own 50 Lincoln Street, which is land that abuts 135 Bay Road, and there'll be future plans for those two to be combined and turned into something that we have not quite created yet. But as of the moment, we're just looking to break away the house from the property so we could move forward with renovating the home and selling it. And then future reference, we hope to do something with the rest of the land, but at this point in time, we have no immediate plan to do anything.
The only question would be, I know you don't, keep in mind where the frontage that you have on Bay Road, there is a stone wall in place, and
Okay.
that would fall under the control of the scenic roads. You're gonna wanna take a look at those before you make further plans you may find.
Sure, we do intend on using the existing entrance that's there, that kind of wraps up behind the house. We don't intend on modifying them,
Okay.
adjusting any of those barriers that are stone walls and whatnot.
Just to make you aware.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Any other board members?
I got one question. I know about that you have the adjoining property also.
Correct.
The eventual plans, were you looking at a subdivision out there?
At this point in time, we're exploring a light impact development, a plan to do conventional homes out there, yes. That will be forthcoming for the town's approval. So that is, we purchased the land back when we've owned it for almost 6 years now. There were, the previous owners were trying to do a 40B subdivision, there's still a sign up. We purchased it without that intention, to kind of keep it a more conventional site there. It's really nice, it's very spacious up top there. We're hoping to get, once those are combined and 50 Lincoln Street's been subdivided, we're hoping that we can move forward with something a little bit more neighborhood friendly, something more spacious.
Could I ask a question of the board?
Yeah.
If the property on Lincoln Street is combined with this property, the frontage would then become.
Let's
linked-
keep it to what's in front of us and not a theoretical.
It's important for this one. Like, if it's relevant to this.
Okay.
Would it remove this property from being protected by being on a scenic road? There's rock walls and stuff out there. Would it remove that protection from what's on that land already?
I have no idea.
I might be able to help you with that, and not that I have no professional, but in that I have discussed this with my engineer. There is a lot of frontage on Lincoln Street that would help make up our subdivision plan, although it's not usable because there's wetlands on the Lincoln Street side.
Sure.
So we do intend on keeping the subdivision entrance on Bay Road, so we would have to probably keep that, the scenic aspect of Bay Road would have to stay intact. We'd have to work around those confines, is what I'm being told by my engineer, Larry Silva. So
Okay.
I think your concern may be that that would somehow nullify that, and to
Awesome.
my knowledge, it won't, and we will apply, but, you know, we will work within those confines.
Sure, thank you.
Can I say something to that point? I think too, if the stone wall is within the right of way, no matter where the frontage is, it's still in the right of way of a scenic way. So I think that will, if it's going to be modified in any way, it'll still come through you regardless of the frontage aspect.
Anybody else, board members? Peter?
Yes, Peter Wiggins, 157 Mansfield Avenue. And before that, I used to live on that house from 86 to 2006. As my late father, John B. Wiggins, God rest his soul, owned that property for many, many years.
Thank you, Peter.
Right.
If there's not any other questions, I'd be looking for a motion.
Motion to endorse ANR 19560.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We'll go down the line. Jim?
Yes.
Oh, we're not hybrid, I guess we can just do. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All set?
Excellent. I was told to bring the Mylar and the prints, is that something that?
Yeah, we'll keep it, and then we'll email you when we get it signed and scanned in.
You're more than welcome to that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thanks, have a good one.
Hey, George, Peter Wiggins, and I lived at that house for years.
I remember at one of the last meetings we had met, and hopefully you'll go by and see it getting fixed up and back to its former glory once we get the current tenants out, so it should put a smile on your face when we get it cleaned up. Thank you again, folks.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public hearing for SPR 19077 and SP 19078, 306 to 308 East Main Street.
Good evening. Craig Siganowski of RIM Engineering. I believe there are several people online that are involved in this, including Larry Rubin, the owner of the property, Bernie and Phil's main office, as well as their warehousing. So back in, I think, 2019, this project came before the planning board at the time, and for both a site plan and a special permit, and was approved. However, it then went to conservation, and then COVID hit. Several years went by, the original engineer was no longer able to work on it. We brought in another engineer, and through conservation, it took about 3 years to get the final approval for the stormwater system, which this past late fall, I think, or winter time, was approved through the Conservation Department with oversight by the consulting engineer they brought in to review and approve the stormwater system. So, because time ran out on this, on the approvals of the original submission, we're back before you for basically the same project. There's, as you probably know, Bernie and Phil's, this is their main office, as well as a large warehouse facility at 306, 308 East Main Street. What they're looking to do is add a 200 by 240 foot square warehouse addition to the rear of the existing building. It'll be behind the easterly end of the existing warehouse. So nothing has really changed other than a slight change in the size of the detention basin from 2019 till now. Due to higher rainfall, we had to increase the detention basin roughly 6 feet in both directions. Other than that, you're looking at the same plan that we had, the Hutchins Trowbridge at the time had submitted to the planning board for approval. This 49,400 square foot addition will be all warehouse. No office space is proposed, no inside facilities for bathroom. It is simply a warehouse addition. So on page 2 of the new submittal that I believe Maria has given to the town, we have the breakdown of the zoning requirements for parking. Total spaces required is 102, total spaces existing is 108. So we meet the requirement for parking and have no plans to add any parking on the property. There are 38 loading docks that serve the main warehouse entrance, and again, all storage of all access to the storage in the new building will be through the original building. So we're not adding any loading docks to the exterior of this property, this building. Currently, there is an existing, it varies in width, but roughly 12-foot wide gravel access road that goes along the east side, running between the building and the town of Norton ownership. The intention is to improve that to an 18-foot wide gravel driveway that'll provide access for fire trucks as well as access to the rear detention basin. So there is no proposed pavement, it's the gravel driveway, just improving it from roughly 12 feet to 18 feet to accommodate proposed the fire truck access as needed. That'll go around the building and then exit back to the existing parking lot on the west side of the existing end of the existing building. So we had to file both a site plan and a special permit because the addition is over 10,000 square feet, as well as we're in a Norton Water Protection District. So didn't ask for it officially on the plan because when I looked at the original submission and went through the paperwork that Brian had looked through, we did not see a request for a waiver for landscaping. But again, this building will be approximately 300 feet behind the existing building. The existing building on 306, the warehouse currently has both shrubs and original pine trees that block the view of the building. So if required, we can submit a formal request for a waiver to landscaping requirements. But as the building will be completely behind the existing building and there's no sight distance from the street to that building, we're asking that we not be required to add any landscaping to the existing woodland. As far as the signage, the signs that are there now will not change. Again, this is simply warehouse, so there'll be no need for additional signs for along the street line. And there are no utilities proposed. There'll be no water or sewer connected to this portion of the building. All electricity and all that will come through the existing building. So, if the board has any questions, if I can't answer them, I'm sure someone online can.
Stop, Maria.
I know one of the requirements for a site plan review was a lighting plan. What do you plan to do for lighting that warehouse?
Yeah, so right now, the existing warehouse that's at the east end of the building has 3 light packs down the length of the side, as well as along the rear, and that will be continued on this building. We talked about that this morning at a conference meeting with the contractor. That is the plan, to just replicate that. There will, even though there's no truck access or car access to the building, there will be doorways for people to leave in emergencies. There will be lighting over those doorways as required.
I'd say it's obviously up to the board, but both the lighting and the landscape are requirements, so if you don't think one is needed, I would recommend a waiver. Just to have it in writing. And for the landscape plan, I know either way, one will be needed because fronting on a state road, you need to have like, usually like 30 feet of front, you know, landscape buffer with a lot of shrubs and trees of a certain size, so, because it's already built, I don't see you being able to meet those exact requirements. So I think those would be my only comments. I would like to see at least some lighting specs, to make sure that everything is within, you know, the poles are of the right size and nothing is too bright, because we have very specific specs in our lighting bylaw, so at least the specs, if not the location on the plan, I think would be great. But I don't know how the board feels about it.
Anybody on the board?
As far as the lighting might be concerned, the only concern I would have is about the wildlife behind the building. I don't know how bright any illumination would actually reach out there, but aside from that, everything else in that area is already built. It's an industrial area. I don't see any other problem.
I think we usually have a standard that the light cannot go further than 0.01 or vertical, like, there's a certain measure, so the light should not leave the property, that is the standard,
I don't assume there will be any problem.
yeah.
I'm fine approving it upon the contingency that we see a lighting spec plan, that
A
meets,
spec of a wall pack maybe?
yeah,
Right.
but I wouldn't wanna hold it up for that.
Should be able to provide that. Excuse me.
If I may, this is Gary Thomas from North Point Construction. Craig, I know you and I spoke about that this morning. We can certainly, if the town approves this with the conditional approval that we provide the wall packs that they approve. Basically, our intent, ladies and gentlemen, is really to just kind of match what's on the building now, assuming that meets the town's cutoffs. It's really more about safety if somebody does need to exit the building and there's a lit up pathway across the backside, because it's a long building, as you can imagine. So if somebody does have to get out of the building in the case of an emergency, at least along that gravel drive and those areas across the back near the retention, the new proposed retention pond is lit up for safety purposes, really.
Has the fire department signed off on the gravel road expansion from 12 to 18 feet?
Well, I looked in online on the permit eyes. I didn't see any sign off, but we haven't received any comments from the fire department. In the past, we've talked to them about the projects, and they wanted a minimum 18 to 20 feet of hard surface.
And the gravel?
Gravel, they were fine with gravel on a different project. They're not saying they spoke about this one, but in other projects, that's what they've approved.
Personally, I'm always hesitant to approve anything the fire department hasn't put a stamp on, even they
Agreed.
haven't logged in on permit eyes or anything. I don't know, I think everybody should just hand walk it right over to them and go over it with them,
Okay.
personally.
And the choice to go with gravel instead of the hardtop was?
It was from a engineering standpoint, I don't know. If there was I mean, it is gravel now. Gravel
Yeah.
meets the requirement for fire trucks and any other vehicle. The difference between gravel and pavement, when you look at it from a drainage standpoint, is very minor.
I was just thinking in the winter with snow removal and stuff like that, the impact that might have as compared to being hardtop. Because it's really being used for fire access pretty much only, right? Is that what it's there for?
Well, it's there to get to the drainage basin, but there is two ways to get to that. You know, it has to be checked within the first couple of years. You have to check it often to make sure the system is working, to check for debris, and then once a year they go in and check. So, yes, it probably in the end would be mostly in emergency vehicles.
So I would say, Malin, I would want that sign off by the fire department.
Would the gravel around the perimeter be maintained all winter, plowed and?
Yeah, that's the intention.
That's the intent.
There was a snow removal note that went on the plan that went through conservation, because obviously we're within 50 feet of the wetlands, so they obviously don't want to see certain chemicals used. So there was a snow removal plan added to the conservation plan, stormwater review plan.
The existing.
And again, this is Gary Thomas, and this is exactly the way that the building is being utilized now for all of the warehouses that are on the property, the same gravel road.
And it's maintained currently during the winter?
Yes.
On that same vein, it appears the path along the eastern edge of your property goes much further back.
It enters onto town property.
Yeah, and it
So-
actually goes into Easton, and I can actually see tracks, so I'm assuming there are kids on bikes or dirt bikes or things like that.
I would assume that's, it goes beyond both our building and the neighboring building. There's that 50-foot strip that was proposed as a road at one time that is now owned by the town of Norton that goes back.
Okay.
So the gravel drive continues. So if it's being used, it's not being used by people at this building, so.
Okay.
There's been dirt bikes out there since my
Mhm.
childhood.
Yeah, you can see
Connects
them in
over
the dirt.
to Red Mill Road.
Anybody else on the board have any questions?
No, if they're gonna cut, when they build that building, it's gonna cut it off. I don't know if anybody was actually accessing it from 23 in front of Bernie and Phil's, but that building will cut off a corner of that. But they were probably trespassing to begin with.
We'll find another way to get out there.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. Is there any-
Sorry, would you like the fire approval to be a condition tonight? Because I can probably get you something in writing, or we can, move it to the next meeting, but.
That's my first question, is the fire department approval put in with, I'm not sure how to handle the landscape plan. Personally, I don't think they have to update any of the landscaping, that's how I feel. If we want to investigate that a little bit further, I'll take the pleasure of the board, what everybody else thinks. I drove by there today, they maintain the landscaping, and it's fully grown out trees, and it's.
I think the lighting and the fire department are my only concern. Not
So
the
we have,
landscaping.
if no one's concerned with the landscaping, we have definitely approved plans before with conditions of fire department approval and lighting approval made by the town planner and the building inspector. If everybody's comfortable with that.
I'm okay with that.
Maybe we can just incorporate that into the motion if so needed. Is there anybody online, any member of the public like to speak? If you could raise your hand in the Zoom. Brian, give it a minute, let me know if you see anybody.
Would we need a formal waiver for the, I know one might not be realistically needed, but do we need to waive it to just check off that box, or is it okay?
I would say we include a lighting waiver and a landscaping waiver in the motion,
Okay,
just to
cover our bases.
dot the i's,
Yeah,
cross the
those are
t's.
usually needed on decisions.
Okay.
Yeah. If there's no other questions from the public, no other questions from the board, I'd be looking for a motion to close the public hearing. If
So moved.
desired.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public meeting is closed.
So do you need us to get something from the fire department, or are you going to?
I think we'll first solicit a comment from the fire department and
Okay.
make it a condition.
Thank you.
That's the public hearing, that wasn't the real vote.
What's that?
I said that was the public hearing closure, that wasn't the real vote.
Okay.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve site plan 19077. Do we need to do the special permit separate?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so the special permit's the one that's conditioned, correct? Or is it no, because site plan is landscape and,
Site plan has the landscaping and lighting requirements in it.
okay, all right. So, motion to approve site plan 19077 with the waiver of the landscape plan and the lighting plan conditioned, specs to be provided and acceptable by the town.
Fire department also.
Isn't that site plan?
There you go.
No, I'm doing oh, sorry, isn't that the special permit?
Are you trying to confuse me?
I am, sorry.
I would tell you.
Site plan review is also the fire department?
Site plan review. is the
Okay.
fire department.
Also conditioned upon approval of the proposed changes to the gravel driveway.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
The special permit doesn't need a vote, or?
Nope, that's up.
Next.
They'll do a motion to approve special permit 19078, standard conditions and not loss. What was the other conditions for the special permit? Was that just the lighting or?
I think the lighting and the landscape and the fire department will all be covered in the site plan.
Okay.
Should be good.
So standard
I
conditions?
believe standard conditions will be fine.
Okay.
Seconded?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, thank you. Warm in here.
Just a
Yeah,
little.
a little bit, yeah.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you.
Good night.
So Brian added at the last minute review of findings and conditions for SPR 18654, 233 West Main Street. You want to pull them up for us?
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, can you scroll up just a little bit? I'll have it pulled up. There you go, that's much better. Is that the first page or the second?
That's the third page?
All right, which one is this? Oh, this is the one on the corner of Oak.
This is
This is 233 West Main.
Got it,
Yeah,
okay.
corner of Oak.
one.
Yep.
So this was an approval, and what were the, you want to scroll down to the conditions, Brian? Do we have any, other than the standard conditions was there?
Yeah, we had including approval from zoning board.
Gotcha. When's their next meeting?
Next
They
week.
were motioned to June,
Okay.
so even though it's next week, it's,
You're right, yes.
Anybody have any questions, any problems with the decision? I'll take silence as a no. The other review of findings and conditions was the preliminary plan for 18797, 0 Reservoir Street, Reservoir Estates.
and we just zoom in on that one too.
Yeah, this one might want to read a little bit closer.
Yeah. So this is part of the line. Look at it. Right here.
Anybody have any comments or changes to the wording or any additions?
If you need more, you can just look at the screen.
Sorry, I'm blind. Okay.
That's the last page, Brian.
Well, that's the one we have the conditions and then the
Gotcha.
next one is the vote.
The voting, yeah.
That looks like it captures everything, yeah.
I thought that was a double negative thing.
Yeah,
It got me confused.
Questions, comments, additions? All good?
I think it did everything.
Maria also had a note of possibly maybe going to executive session, talking about, we want to talk about it?
Yeah,
Briefly.
I'll do it, big picture stuff. The town is facing litigation on the Zero South Washington project, which was the Amazon parking lot. As of now, I think we got officially served a copy yesterday of it, and we have given, we've scanned it and sent it to town council, and she's currently handling it. If the board wishes to discuss it at greater length, I'm sure we will have more context from town council soon, maybe next planning board meeting, or if you are comfortable. I wasn't sure if that's something you wanted to discuss in executive session, but I know that is something that Alan said it has to be advertised on the agenda, so it cannot be discussed in this meeting. But it is being handled by legal counsel, so.
So we can't do executive session tonight, we have to wait till the next
Correct, you have to
meeting.
advertise it. Town council handles everything on any appeals, so we have to do nothing. They have to serve us legally. That's the only requirement, is us being served.
Yep.
That was an interesting gift when I got home.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if we could do an executive session at the next meeting.
Okay. I know we also got another email regarding, I'm gonna say the name wrong, it was the solar case, it was Cogliano versus Town of Norton. maybe?
Next,
Yes.
Next one.
Next one.
so this was the application that only Tim had,
Yeah.
that we were having executive sessions with.
So-
So-
A decision has been issued, I believe we got the email this afternoon. I'm not sure if all the members received it, but the land court sided with the town and Nexon, what it's called? Yes. And the plaintiff has, I believe, till June 8th to appeal it if they so wish. But as of right now, land court is in agreement with the town. And if you haven't received it, I can forward that to you.
It's only been sent to Tim. as of
Okay.
Right now.
Okay.
So that was an affirmative decision that was appealed by a resident, correct?
I believe so. It was before my time.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yes.
As I said, only Tim was there.
Okay. So if the board would like, I can share this with the members. But if you're content with just the big picture, that's totally fine. I just didn't.
If it's.
Big
not-
picture's fine.
Big picture's fine,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Just wanted to let you know in case there was anything else you wanted to discuss about it, but the decision has been made, so. Yeah. I don't have anything else, unless you do.
No, the only other thing I should have done at the beginning was welcome Steve to the board. I forgot that, my fault.
Welcome.
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 Any other business?
The signatures.
Just signatures on the,
Anna?
yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good night.
Stay.